Ay, 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 ay.
Here's the real shame, chat. I have an entire library of like 6 songs of like genuinely good Hamas nasheeds, and I cannot play them because Hamas, for whatever reason, has been designated the terrorist organization, and all of their music is branded as like terrorist recruitment material. And if you try to play any of those fucking songs on a YouTube stream, your channel will get automatically struck, taken down, and you will get a content violation applied to your channel. I know this because I tried to play a nasheed. I tried to just upload a copy of it unlisted to YouTube as a backup in case I wanted to, because I had trouble finding the song when I wanted to hear it again, and I tried uploading it to YouTube just as a nice way to keep it for me, and they struck that. It was completely fucking private, but they struck that. So that shit is completely and totally not allowed on YouTube, and it's really their loss. I posted on the forum thread about the Gaza, the ongoing war, but I unfortunately cannot play it for you. Maybe I could make like I don't know, I thought about doing like a special like Odysee thing where I could play whatever the fuck I wanted, but fuck that. I'm tired of forcing people to go to different sites to hear things. But besides that, I mean, it's been kind of a slow week. It hasn't been too productive. A couple notable things, kind of like small, like big events, but not things that have a lot of meat to them. Just sort of like, oh, this is the thing that happened, and it has some big impacts for some people, but it doesn't really create too much content. But I do have plant updates. That seems that can be my go-to. Eventually, a couple years down the road, I guess I'll just have like a farm, and my streams will just be like a tour of the farm every week, and that'll be it. There'll be no cow content unless I actually have a cow, and she'll make appearances in all the streams, and it'll be very wholesome, and it'll be like a weird thing where you can start the Apple, like the iTunes playlist, start at episode 1 and go through all the different people, go through like because it started out, the streams were just like talking about people, and then they slowly shifted to like a week recap, and that's kind of where you're at now. And then, you know, next year it's like, oh, this is mostly just talking about agriculture now, and then 2 years like it's entirely about agriculture, and that'll be it. That'll be like the weird progression of the stream. But I guess that's more interesting than harping on the same shit all the fucking time. But with no further delay, this was last week. Banana peppers have a very nice like plant shape to them. Like their saplings look like the emoji for plants. The herbs though, they grow all fucky wucky, and I was not expecting them to grow like that. They're lopsided, and I looked it up, and they're not just like me being shit. They actually do like to lean and spread out kind of all over the place, just naturally. So it's not me fucking up. And then the peas are really big. They cheat though. Their seeds are huge. Like their seeds are the things you actually eat. Whereas the other herbs, their seeds are like almost microscopic. They're smaller than a grain of rice. So they get like a huge head start, and they just explode into this huge vine. And my little chopsticks, they were getting dominated. But this is this week, and they've made some progress. The banana peppers are fucking big. They're really massive. It's strange. Like the leaves are getting to like the size of your palm. And the herbs are finally getting bigger to the point where maybe, probably not yet, but maybe you can start plucking some of that parsley, putting it in stuff and eating it. But here's my life. I live in an apartment and I want to grow peas because I want to eat peas, right? Fresh off the vine peas. But there is no soil in this this hellscape that we live in, where people are in boxes that float off the ground. So what do? Well, obviously you buy planters off Amazon and you throw them on your balcony and then plant your peas outside. And then it occurred to me, I was sitting there and I was looking out on the balcony and I'm thinking, like, why the fuck are these pigeons hanging out there? Why are they just sitting looking at me? They didn't used to sit and look at me from the balcony with this kind of longing and contempt. And then I realized, like, I looked it up, and I think I mentioned this last stream, but whatever. They eat peas, and I bet you those motherfucking pigeons know that those are peas outside, and that one day they will be able to return to that balcony and eat my fucking peas fresh off the vine, like I intended to do. So I again turned to Amazon, and I said, Amazon, provide me with nets and sticks. And this was the result. Here we have bird netting around my peas so I can make my peas without them being eaten by birds. And originally they were just kind of like thrown over it, but then got the sticks together and it made like a comfy little tent that is more away from the peas, because I don't want them to grow and vine onto the netting, because that doesn't help, because then the peas are going to grow outside the net and then the birds are going to fucking eat my peas outside the bird net. So the sticks are required to keep them more tame. You need an iron dome. I need some rockets to intercept the birds trying to eat my peas, so they can't get to them. That's a great idea. Okay. Now, also, more forum related, more on the mark. I asked the guys who are doing the silver run, I said, please provide me progress updates, because I think people would enjoy seeing that. There's like a lot of individual customers, so please show me stuff as it's getting made. People would find that fascinating. And this is the first real update. He sent me a couple of silver bricks from the Turkish silver mint called Nadir, and this is the first us specific work. This is I guess we'd have to call this the reverse. The observe is going to be the side with Chris. I kind of did it wrong. Usually you have one side that stays the same. That's called the observe, and it usually has the portrait, like the head of the state. But the portrait in this one is going to be on the side that changes. I'm probably going to do different shades. But anyways, this is the die. It's half finished. This is I think that it works in steps. They have to like carve it into metal, and then they have to use this as a guide to use a machine to carve it into something smaller that becomes the brass die, and the brass die is what strikes the coin. So this is about half finished, and by the end of the month they hope that both sides will be completely finished. So I think this is fucking really cool. It's really cool to see an industrial tool like this, and it looks great. The artist took some, I think the artist did some touch-ups to make it like the hairs are a bit different from the AI design, I think, but it looks cool. So hopefully do gold coins. No, that's too much. Nobody's gonna buy, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but fewer people can buy a ounce of gold. Oh, okay. Now this is corporate art, right? But here is true art. This is the kind of art that comes from the soul. I mentioned I did a little art review last week where I looked at some art from some pornographers that Pete's from the Chantal saga personally follows, and he commissioned from that Mick whatever woman pornography. And I kind of wondered why he picked the worst artist to do his pornography and how it would how it would come out, and this is the result. He says, I commissioned Innkeeper Worm to draw me Karma and Rachel, and I'm guessing those are X-Men things, because Pete's is a consumer coomer to the umpteenth degree, the most consumerist coomer to ever live. He continues, I don't know if anyone else ships these two, but I feel like they'd be good for each other. I had to kind of censor out the nip a little bit for this, but it's a shockingly bad drawing. I think he paid like $80 for it. I don't know if the character is supposed to have like whiskers around their face, but they looked like they tried to press their face into like an orange squeezer or orange cutter, those things that have like a circle in the middle and then like sun rays. It looks like she kind of put that to her face and cut herself up. And then the rest of it, and it's harder to see without the blur, but the artist tried to draw shadows on the body for the non-Asian one. And for whatever reason, the entire body is like a different color. It's like a cooked, like the dark meat of a chicken thigh. That's the color of the skin, and there's no reason for the shadow to be so simple. Like the arm and the face are a natural skin color, but then the rest of it is in shadow, and it's very awkward looking. It kind of looks like she's wearing like one of those burlap sacks that homeless people wear, or has been cooked like a chicken. And Karma, or the Asian one, is like looking down at her like, I'm so sorry that you fell into that pot and are now a cooked chicken, but I'm here for you. And she's looking up like, I'm in immense pain, but thank you for your for your thoughts and prayers. He has also commissioned a follow-up artistic piece from the same artist of his cat, which is weird. Like, hey lady, I need you to draw these two characters having a lesbianic experience, but then I also need you to draw a piece for my cat because it's very old and it may die soon. What I really think is happening here is that X-Men Expert is simping for this Macbeth woman and is trying to get in her pants by giving her money, which does not work for anyone except a prostitute. So, good luck with that, Pete. Though he has been hinting in the streams. I'm not going to go too far into Chantal this week because her boyfriend got doxxed. That's basically the extent of the Chantal update. And Pete has kind of hinted that he might leave and live with her. And Chantal is trying to act happy when he talks about this, but you can tell that she's upset. Like, she doesn't want him to be happy, and she doesn't want to be with him. So she just wants him to stay there and be miserable and be subservient to her for all time. Speaking of miserable, Vito has what I think has happened is that he's really jealous of the attention that Max Carson has got by just saying that he's a pedophile over and over again. And he made like another song called like, you can't like outlaw what I'm attracted to or something. And it's just like another pedo bait thing. I think that Carson is for sure like an Amos Yee, someone who jokes about being a pedophile when he actually is a pedophile. I think Vito is just jealous of that attention, and he's just like, oh, I'm going to go on Twitter and say I want to rape children over and over again to see how people react, and that'll give me attention, and that's cool because I'm in LA, and there's no such thing as bad attention in LA. If you get attention for saying, I'm not trying to fool anyone, I'm going to fuck your kids, and because I'm going to fuck your children and hide your kids. And then he says, when people think that it's a joke, he says, no, I'm serious. The Vito file will be back. I'm not trolling Cuties' art. I'm not trolling. I will kidnap your children. I don't think of sex between two consenting partners as gross. If both partners are capable of giving consent and no one is actively trying to take advantage of anyone, I see no issue. Hide your kids. They are all children I kidnapped. Snatching your kids. I live next to a preschool. I kidnap children to harvest their organs for the Chinese. So I don't know. That's his current professional trajectory, is just saying that shit and thinking that, oh, when people call me a pedophile because I say that I'm a pedophile and I want to fuck kids, that's awesome because it gives me attention. So let us continue onwards. Speaking of trying to get attention, I have to bully Trump because this fucking statement is pathetic. He has taken to and I know bullying Trump is like a really funny thing that everyone does, but I really have to, like, I can't, whatever, I'll just read it. isn't he, because he's banned from everything, he releases press statements, and then independent media outlets like Disclose will publish his press statements on Twitter. So he says, "Isn't it incredible that because of the vaccines, which I and my administration came up with years ahead of schedule, despite the fact that everyone, including Fauci, said that it would never happen, that we no longer need masks, and yet our names are not even mentioned in what everyone is calling the modern-day miracle of vaccines. Without the vaccines, this world would have been in for another 1917 Spanish flu, where up to 100 million people died. Because of the vaccines we pushed and developed in record time, nothing like that will be even close to happening. Just a mention, please." He literally begs the press, please mention me, and the fact that I saved 100 million people from dying. And I physically cringed reading that. Because it's, you don't want to, like, grovel for people to mention you in the press. He's right, though. Maybe. But then he said, just to mention, please, and I cringed. The president is posting cringe in the form of press statements, and I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. Now, here's another thing that I'm going to say, and people are going to get mad at me for, because I'm defending Boogie. Boogie had a arrest warrant out for him. He has been charged with aggravated assault, which, from what I understand, aggravated assault is when you do something with reckless disregard for the safety and welfare of other people. And this is not like his mugshot. This is like a record file that they had of him. But then he turned himself in, and now this is the real mugshot of Boogie. And he looks much more depressed than the other picture. He's 46 and 380 pounds. I guess he's lost like 200 pounds, someone said, from his heaviest. But he immediately posted bail. His bail was only like $5,000, so he just pays out of pocket for that. And then says he's going to come back. He's not like a flight risk. He doesn't have a criminal record, so like whatever. And there's a lot of rampant speculation about what is going to happen next, because of course, and there's a couple, like, the issue is that this is a felony charge, right? This is a big deal. And I think the maximum sentence that he could get is 6 years of prison. Chances are he's not going to get 6 years of prison, but I think the minimum sentence is like 6 months of prison. There's like a statutory minimum for how long you can get for that, and 6 months to a year in prison for Boogie would be, extremely traumatic for him. So he would obviously want to avoid that. So the belief that I have is that, like with, I think Ralph had a similar, he had like assaulting a police officer or something. So what they did with him is they just gave him a plea deal. It's like, accept a felony conviction, we'll suspend the sentence, and then you can go home today. And that's fine, and that's what I think he'll probably get. And the reason for that is that all they're trying to do in his circumstance is make it illegal for him to have a gun. And people have pointed out that he didn't have his own gun in this case because apparently there's a thing that they have in his state where you can smoke weed, but when you have a smoke weed card, you cannot have a gun. So you have to like trade your Second Amendment rights for smoking weed, and that's something that people fucking do, which blows my mind. Because crazy people might show up to your fucking house, and you're not going to be able to defend yourself by throwing weed at them. So he got his roommates. Apparently, his roommate is named Chad, which is very funny. He got Chad's gun because he has a marijuana license instead of a weapon, and he fired that shot with that revolver. But if he has a felony, he can't even do that. Like, he's not allowed to touch a gun, I guess, in most circumstances. And I think that is what they really want. They're like, this guy is a retard, and he should be away from weapons, because his idea of using a weapon is to fire it in the fucking air. Like, he's a jihadist in the desert, and they're doing celebratory AK-47 fire into the fucking sky. Or he's like a cowboy, with two revolvers going patoo, 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 as he rides down his driveway on a horse, trying to scare Frank Castle because he's like a cattle rancher of retards. Anyways, a Chechen wedding, exactly. Yeah, the Lone Ranger. He I mean, I'm torn because I think Boogie did like everything possible to make his circumstances as unfavorable towards him, you know, as he could have. He went on the phone and said, like, come to my house because I want to shoot you and I will enjoy killing you and I want to see the light leave your eyes as your mangled corpse lays dead in my driveway. Like, he said that, and then almost literally that, very close to that, word for word. And then the guy shows up and he like storms outside of his house with a revolver saying like, do you want to die, motherfucker? Make my day. So it's like, okay, maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that if you want to try and pretend that you have a self-defense claim. But on the other hand, like, part of my thing with being morally okay with doxing is that when people show up to your house, I think you should have a right to kill them. So Boogie is sort of like an in-betwixt, like a counter, like a foil to my argument, because, okay, if someone like Frank Castle shows up to his house because he got doxxed or whatever and is going to make an ass of himself, Boogie should be allowed to shoot him. However, Boogie has to be able to like not be a complete retard about it. And I guess it is a hard situation, like, because I think in his mind he's like, I'm going to preserve my dignity. He had that white trash mindset that so many people fall victim to. I have to defend my integrity and my manliness. I have to show people you don't fuck around with me. I can't just hide in my house. Like, what's his face? Xander shows up to Dick Masterson's house, and Dick Masterson just says, oh, you're from the internet. Get off my porch. I'm calling the police. And then everyone goes, oh, this libertarian's calling the police. Isn't that funny? He didn't want something like that where people looked in any way in this confrontation against him. He wanted to come out a clear winner. So he thought of like, how do I react to this in the most badass way possible so that everyone thinks I have a massive swinging dick under my gunt? And he completely failed. He got booked with an aggravated assault charge. So it is frustrating. I need to consult with attorneys and come up with a rule book. Consult with attorneys and PR agents to come up with a rule book for how do you react when someone confronts you on your property so that you A, look really badass, but B, do not forfeit any rights and can kill them if you need to. Oh, and C, you look. Wait, I said I don't need a C. Look badass. A, most important. B, don't go to jail. Those are the two prongs. And C, maybe also kill them. Because I think that if someone said, there's a disagreement about this, would Boogie be in less trouble if he had shot Frank Castle? And I think it depends. The phone call really does not help. The phone call of him saying, come to my house so I can murder you in cold blood because I want innocent blood on my hands. That was a bad idea. But on the other hand, dead people don't file police reports, and chances are it could have gone more easily in his favor if he had just fucking murdered Frank Castle. And I don't have any sympathy for Frank Castle. You show up at someone's house, you should be willing to catch that fucking bullet. You want to be funny, Frank Castle? Die. Get shot. That would be funny. I would laugh. I would play the clip on my stream. I would feature it on my Kiwi web zone. I would laugh, and everyone would have a good time. So keep that in mind. Oh, and here's a hallmark. Here's when you know someone's gone to jail in the United States. Are people incessantly talking about male-on-male prison rape? There's something uniquely broken. It's like that copy pasta that Ethan Ralph called a hate speech sermon. There's something like that in the Merrimack mind, where someone goes to jail, and the first thing people start talking about is black dick. How much black dick do you think that fat fuck's going to get in jail? I can't wait for Jamal to tear his ass apart. I hope he enjoys prison. Don't drop the soap. It's like it's a completely American thing. No other country on the planet, does not matter if it's in China or Russia or France or like Nigeria or Saudi Arabia or Canada, Brazil. There is no place on earth except the United States where people will sit around regardless of where they come from, what color they are, what their income is, what their education level is. I could ask my grandfather who's a Vietnam vet. I could ask someone who's a millionaire. I could ask, a black guy in the middle of Detroit, what do you think about Boogie going to jail? And they said, well, I hope he don't drop the soap, because that ass going to get torn up. They're going to pass him around like a box of cigarettes. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Why is this acceptable? We don't laugh about this in any other context. A woman gets raped, not funny, bad, always. Man gets raped, not funny, bad, always. Unless it's a female teacher, then it's nice. A man changes his gender to a woman as a sex offender, goes to a female prison, commits sexual assault within the female prison, also bad. But male on male in the jail system, that is a part of the system. That's written into the Department of Corrections Constitution. We need to make sure that prison is as rapey as possible. And I know that the reality is that there was reforms in the 80s and 90s, especially after Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption chair-led federal reform to the prison system to reduce male rape, and it worked. And the mythology of male rape in the prison system is completely overblown, except for transgender people. But the enduring legacy of that mythology continues to this day, and people just expect it's like, oh, he's a bad person. He went to prison. He deserves to be raped, and everyone's just okay with it. And it is Mutt's law. But I assert that it's not just Mutt's law. It's like a subsection of Mutt's law, where Mutt's law is, when talking to an American over time, the chance of black penis being brought up approaches 1. But subsection B of Mutt's law is, when prison is brought up, the chance of black penis being brought up in the next sentence is 90%. That's the addendum. It's not just like approaching 1. It's like you're already fucking there. You've instigated it. Anyways, I don't know why it's always bothered me though. I think it's because when I was like a teenager, I had a TV in my room and I watched Lock Up Raw a lot. I watched this documentary series about prisons, and I always thought, like, it's not really funny. The situation that these people find themselves in is really not that funny, and it's really unfortunate that we have these concrete rape dungeons all over the fucking country, and people are just like whatever about it. It's like, the same people who take issue with the concrete rape dungeons are the same people who are afraid that one day the government is going to go like full fascist or communist or whatever the fuck and just round people up for having a gun or voting for Donald Trump. It's like, well, maybe you should reform the prisons so that when we all get locked up for thinking the N-word too much and getting picked up by mind-reading satellites and thrown in prison for anti-statist thought, we won't be raped for it. I believe in rehabilitative corrections for the record. It's probably, rehabilitative corrections are probably my most liberal position. I don't think that we should just throw people in rape dungeons and call it quits. And a lot of people disagree with me with that. I think that if you're gonna try and torture someone, if you would think like this person is a sex pest, they are a menace to society, they can never be allowed to return, just kill them. Well, why do we need life in prison rape facilities where we isolate someone from the general population 23 hours a day? Oh, just kill them. Why do we do this to people? It's literally worse than China. I'd rather get fucking executed by Xi Jinping than spend my entire life in some federal facility locked away from people for the rest of eternity. Just fucking kill me. Anyways. Speaking of people begging for death, here we have Jim Sterling.
Well, how's about that for a, to be honest, rather bitter and salty Jimquisition? But don't worry, next week will be all positive, all happy. You see, ever since coming out, I've been losing a couple thousand subscribers a week with every video posted. So this one's going to bring us down to below 900,000. That's a milestone worth celebrating. So I'll see you next time. Thank God for me.
the bitterness. Mwah, mwah. It's so salty. Put enough fucking salt in that rant, in that complaint to kill someone, Jim Sterling. You got more salt than the Dead Sea. He to clarify what he means, and I think I've talked about this before, but I relish it, so I'll bring it up again. Here we have Jim Sterling's Social Blade, which monitors his YouTube statistics to the best of our ability. After James Charles got canceled and there was a big party of people watching his sub number drop, YouTube changed the system so that it only updates once per day or something, and it only shows updates and bans, they're called bans of 1,000. Like, for instance, if you get a federal subpoena that you can't talk about, you can only report how many federal subpoenas you've gotten in bans of 1,000. You can report that you've received 0 to 999 federal subpoenas that you can't talk about, but you can't say that, for instance, you've received 967. You have to say specifically 0 to 999 federal subpoenas that you cannot talk about. And in this instance, they talked about bans of 1,000 for subscribers, just kind of round it off so that people can't have nice viewing parties as people's numbers drops. So his numbers are just about to tip under 900,000. Where's the, oh, okay, it's right at 900,000, and I think people made an effort to resubscribe or get people to subscribe to them because it kind of tipped to 0 for this week, and he's been about negative 1,000 a week every week. This one was 3,000. I think this is the week that he actually announced that he was coming out. So when he sits there and he says, "Oh, poor me, I've been losing subscribers ever since I came out." You've been losing subscribers for like 3 months before you came out because people don't watch your content anymore. And then one day they look. Granted, his numbers dropped a little bit more after he came out, probably because they looked at, their subscriptions that they'd been ignoring for a while and thinking like, what the fuck is this? And then that prompted them to make the muscle effort to click the unsubscribe button. So he's very bitter about that. And I really, really, really hope, because he kind of hints at the end there.
So this one's going to bring us down to below 900,000. That's a milestone worth celebrating. So I'll see you next time. Thank God for me.
That's a milestone worth celebrating, so I'll see you next time. I hope to fucking God he is going to go full salt mode about how badly he's been treated after coming out as gender blob. That would make my fucking day. That would be great. I might have to do an emergency stream just to sit. If it's like 30 minutes of him talking, oh man, I'll have to bring that up, go second by second, pause it, do the whole reaction channel shit, because I would enjoy that. Okay. Let's continue. This may be a short stream, probably about an hour, I bet, after all said and done. Okay, now we get into the Israel-Gaza event. Just like, I'm not fully committing to it yet. There's a person in particular that I want to talk about in relation to this. Because politics ruins everything now, and even fat locals who suck fat out of their ass and masturbate for money, even they have to be politically charged, and let politics seep into everything. So if you haven't gotten the tip, I'm talking about Momokun. Momokun has very strong opinions about the current conflict of Israel and Gaza shooting missiles at each other. And she says it goes with that because she's Lebanese. You can't tell because she's gotten so much plastic surgery, but she's Lebanese. And Lebanon is interesting. I'll take a little aside. I've mentioned this before on stream, but it's one of my favorite factoids about Lebanon. And I'll bring this up right now. The flag of Lebanon has a tree on it. And not just any tree. It has a really shitty drawn tree. It looks fucking awful. But this is the flag of Lebanon, and they can't help themselves. And my favorite thing about Lebanon's flag is that it's in the Constitution. This is literally the flag drawn into the Constitution. The people who wrote the Lebanese Constitution after decolonization drew into the margins of the Constitution with crayon like a child this ugly ass fucking tree, which to this day is the flag of Lebanon. And I don't know why I know this, but I do know this. I think it's a cedar tree. I want to say it's a cedar tree. A Lebanon cedar. Oh, here it is. Here's the real tree in real life. Kind of looks like it. Good job, Constitution writers. Anyways, Momokun is not a tree. She's a fat woman. And she says, it goes without saying, Palestine will remain forever and Israel will fall. As a Lebanese woman, I will continue to support Hezbollah and Hamas in hopes of stopping the colonizing Israeli settlers. I renounce Andrew Yang because Andrew Yang came out in support of Israel, even though he was a progressive darling with his freedom dividend. I renounce Andrew Yang and any support I've ever had for him. The governor of Florida is a sham. Please speak up. This is time to be loud. This is time we fight against the coward Zionist scum. Lebanese flag. And then she picked like the most faintest brown hands, but she's like, I mean, you know what? I'll give it to her. She's not white. You can have her, Lebanon. She's not white. Where are all those the Bureau of Land Management people at? Why aren't you speaking up about an actual ethnic cleansing? Where are you, all of you protesters from around the world who believe in fairness of living, not having to fear being dragged out of your home and killed for being a Muslim? Speak up and educate yourselves. Do not stay silent or neutral. Muslims and Arabs have always faced such intense racism, but Muslim is not a race. I'm just gonna say it. I hate it when Muslims are called as a race. This is actually ridiculous and beyond emotionally irritating for that Arabs once again get labeled as terrorists for defending themselves. And like she's like surprised. Where are all those BLM people at? Why aren't they surveying my property now that I need my property surveyed? And I'm like, well, of course they're not going to support you. They don't give a fuck about you, retard. Surprise! They don't give a fuck about you. Why is ethnic cleansing being okayed? Why is the literal genocide attack on Muslims during Ramadan being overlooked? And it is on Eid or whatever. Their big celebration is the day that Israel commenced a land invasion of Gaza Strip, which is pretty funny. She just continues ranting and says, punch Nazis, now let's slug the Zionist regime. And I think that's because that cop is about to interrupt a protest. So here's a video of her talking. We can take a close. This video is important because you need to see what she looks like and how intellectual, how smart she really looks. Oh, it's in desktop.
If you've ever cosplayed Princess Jasmine or even Aladdin, and you are silent about all of this, yikers. Anyone who's not really quite understanding.
How is she so ugly? I can tell that she's got the chinky filter cranked up to fucking 13. This is as chinky as that filter will go. And she's just so fucking ugly. Like I think she's gotten like her nose done, so her nose has that Michael Jackson look to it. Her eyebrows are fucking like tattooed onto her face. Her lips are completely blown out. She gets silicone lip injectors and then they seep, so it makes her look like she has like a octopus suction cup. You could just pick her up and press her against a fucking wall and she'll stick there. It's just ridiculous.
What's going on in Palestine still? I'm gonna try and like
look at those teeth. Those teeth are fake.
Going on in Palestine.
Look at that. That's like Boogie teeth. She's like had all of her teeth ripped out and replaced with like plastic. There's no way that's real teeth.
Still, I'm gonna try and like simplify it. Attack on Titan. Okay, you follow me? You up on season 4? Cool. Season 3, end of the episodes. Cool. So, how the Marleyans treat the Eldians is what Israeli people do to the Palestinians. The Palestinians were there first. That was their country. And the Palestinians welcomed the refugees of the Jewish people after World War II to their country because there was so much tensions in the European nations and just everything that had just happened. They didn't want Jewish people anywhere. Literally, the EU was like, get rid of these people. Like, we don't want them. And threw them into Palestine.
The European Union did not exist after World War II. I want to say that the European Union was established as a trade organization like 1970s. The EU did not fucking tell the Jews, you have to, okay, look, this Hitler shit went too far. I know it's not your fault, but you got to go to Madagascar anyways. You got to sort this shit out. We got some fucking problems. We just, after the war, we're making this European Union trade organization shit, and sorry, but there's no Jews allowed. And you got to figure, you have to go find someplace else to live.
Palestine was sure, like, we will open our homes to you. We'll take care of you. We'll watch over you. Like Grisha's sister gets killed and eaten by dogs is something that's very common over there, with Israeli soldiers killing children and women, especially men. This is something that happens very frequently, and nobody talks about it. But that's just to kind of get that idea. There are also checkpoints. Palestinians have to go through checkpoints in their own country. So cool.
So I got distracted by her saying that the EU told the Jews they had to leave. But she made, from what I understand, I've heard people talk about Attack on Titan. It used to be like the Vor thing for like 3 seasons, and then at the end of whatever season it became like a Holocaust allegory for whatever reason. So she's, instead of just saying it's like an apartheid state or whatever, you know, words that have actual meaning, she's like, you know, this Japanese show, it's like that. And it's like, there's other things that you can compare this to that people will actually understand that haven't watched this fucking anime. But low IQ individuals such as her, look at that face, she looks like a fucking horror monster. But they have to compare, everything has to be like fucking Harry Potter or some other fictional media. You can't ever just say like what it is and why it's a bad thing. It has to be like, you know how like in like Slytherin, they like made fun of Hermione for being a mudblood. That's basically what Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd when he needed him. It's like that. You have to feel sorry for him. You know, that's stupid. Most people are smart enough to understand lofty concepts like racism.
Housing, the Israelis actually kicked all of the Palestinians out of their house. They're like, nope, this is ours now. Colonized it and pushed these people into internment camps where there is no food, no clean water, and don't even think about any health care. And COVID, oh, if you get COVID, you're donezo over there.
What internment camps? Is she okay? Gaza is like a place. It's not like a camp. Is she like confusing like the whatever? I kind of want to play through all this. It's frustrating me though. It's almost too frustrating.
I don't care. I've been battling it out in my DMs with other Israeli cosplayers all day long, and keep it coming. I know you're just Zionist scum. Little roaches, cowards even. And
tell by the nose.
I welcome it. I welcome the fight. Because as a Lebanese woman, I stand with Palestine, because you know damn well Israel is not going to just be content with taking the rest of Palestine. And they're going to try to invade Lebanon once again. But like the cowards you were, you guys got ran out.
How do you guys think? Okay, Momokun, in case you don't know, I received a DMCA just today trying to delist more of the fucking thread on Momokun, because she aggressively hires people to send DMCA takedown requests to third-party search engines and shit about her nudes. Because if you don't know, she is a cam whore. She dresses up in like the worst thing I've ever fucking seen ever on my fucking site. And I've seen people with like rotten limbs falling off, and cutters who like cut until their skin is like all oogly. But her Attack on Titan like sexy cosplay is one of the most genuinely horrific fucking things I've ever seen. That's not just like gore. And like, do you guys? I mean, okay, I legitimately don't know. I'm speculating here. I've heard some things, but is anyone in Israel or Palestine that can tell me what the opinion of the typical Palestinian is on people who are professional online cam whores? I'm genuinely curious. Is that like a bad thing to most people in Lebanon? Even Lebanon. What about in Lebanon? Can you shove a dragon dildo up your asshole for money on the internet in Lebanon without people being like, oh, maybe you should be stoned to death? Is that a thing? Bring on Easy Peasy. I don't have a Discord. I can't talk to him anymore. They get stoned, haram. It's a bad thing, says Solid Hydrax. I'm pretty sure Solid Hyrax is not Palestinian. I can't. Okay, I asked the people of Palestine and Gaza and Lebanon their opinion. Easy Peasy is Jew. Easy Peasy is Israeli. His opinion, of course, would be the most negative perspective possible on this. You can't. You're asking the enemy here. You can't trust him. So I don't know. Like, what would he say? What is the worst take possible on this? Would he get on and be like, "Oh yeah, they love everyone in Lebanon wants to be like Momokun. Everyone in Lebanon thinks she's so hot and such an aspiration. They all show their young girls in Lebanon Momokun are like, hey, you should be like Momokun when you grow up." That's, if I was Easy Peasy, that would be my line.
And we'll get run out again by Hezbollah. So keep going. Go ahead. Keep trying us. These Israeli soldiers are backed by U.S. funding from American tax dollars to support colonization and oppression of Palestinian people. These Israeli soldiers are nothing but cowards. They are all people forced in.
You know who else got money? I'm pretty sure Palestine got money. They got like $280 million from directly from Biden. Like in the last couple months. Here's the funny thing. You ready? We fund both sides in every conflict ever. The CIA has a budget of $30 billion. You know why? Because that money goes to fund every terrorist cell in the entire world, except ones in the U.S. Except for the Bureau of Land Management. They get their money directly from the government.
To war. They are literally forced. Every person who turns 18, once they are out of high school, has to go into the army. And that is exactly why Hezbollah beat the fuck out of them back in 2006, because they are not warriors. They have no idea what it is to have morale or anything. And they are just doing nothing but forcing a Zionist regime on Palestine, and they will attempt to do it to Lebanon. Multiple resources so that you can learn more and more about this, as it is something that has been going on for a very long time. I feel it is important for me to be vocal now because we are in a point in our social climate where we can discuss this and be loud and make changes. I believe change can happen. I believe with people becoming more aware of what's actually happening and the lessening of Islamic phobia, I feel...
Here, I'm pulling something up. I'll let her talk a bit, but I want to show everyone the what I was referring to before.
I feel that true change can happen. I feel Palestine can be free again. They can regain their land. And you can support a Jewish people, but also condemning what Israel is doing. It is not anti-Semitic. It is anti-Zionist. I don't usually speak about activism, and I'm not here to force anybody to do anything. But
okay, here we go. Behold, the worst thing ever conceived. This is her as a spooky, scary Titan. Oh, here, let's get this as well. Just for the people listening, like, okay. It's hard to explain, like the Titans in Attack on Titan have like no skin, so you can see like fat and tendon and muscle, and she's painted herself to look like that, but of course she's still like a fat woman. So it is genuinely one of the worst looking things I've ever seen a person do to themselves, and she looks like someone has skinned her alive. And I don't know if it's supposed to be sexy or what, because I think it's like body paint and not like spandex paint or whatever. Yeah, it is, because you can see the pasties. I think she's just painted it on whatever. Anyways, it's very hideous looking. I think I have to pee, and I need something to play while I go pee. I apologize for this interruption, but hopefully I can make it up to everyone. Okay, I'm back. I have replaced soda in my life with water and like artificially sweetened tea. And for whatever reason, I now drink even more liquids than I used to. I used to drink a fuck ton of liquids. Now I drink an unbelievable fuck ton of liquids. So I don't know. I'm sure my kidneys are in perfect condition because I clean them so thoroughly. They're sparkly. Yes, I wash my hands, thank you. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Of course I wash my hands. Come on. Ooh. You know, I didn't even write this down, but I just remembered that this happened. God, you know what? I should talk about this just a little bit. It's just a little bit. So, I think last stream or the stream before, I covered Aid and her ex having a SPAC attack on the forum. Primarily, her, what the fuck was his name? Idiot. This Encyclopedia Dramatica guy who made like a competing fork of Encyclopedia Dramatica and is he owns the trademark to Encyclopedia Dramatica now, and is using that to troll the guys who are trying to make like the community fork of it. And he dated Aid, who is also Ethan Ralph's ex-girlfriend. And Aid talked to me in PPP months ago, when I was, months ago. And she basically made fun of him and said that he likes the smell of shit and is all around just like a gross, underdeveloped, juvenile person. Which is not really that shocking, but it's funny. So he, in reply, doxed her thoroughly. Found like where she worked, where she lived at, I think highlighted like, you know, exactly where to find her. And put this up on his fucking blog and made sure to go through and SEO Google bomb her as thoroughly as possible so that it would be a near top result anytime you looked her up. It was like not just like, oh, doxing people and talking about them on the internet forum because, you know, you're having fun with your community. I am deliberately defaming this person and making them look as bad as possible for the sole express purpose of getting revenge. And he threw this up and he was super proud of it. And anytime that Aid got mentioned, he made sure to link people to this article. And as a result, because this is very thoroughly against Patreon terms of service, he says, I was banned from Patreon over doxing Aid. I guess he's calling her Aid the Elder, which is weird. It makes her sound like a Skyrim dragon. Aid the Elder's workplace, even though she's a public figure, which is arguable. I would say she's not really a public figure. She's just some chick. And you can't do that, especially in the context. Like, it doesn't matter if they're a public figure or not. Like Critical. He's a big YouTuber, but if he worked at like, some company and, you know, near where he lives, and people are like, this guy is such a fucking asshole. Fuck this guy. Here's where he works as a, you know, like, here's his main source of income. Fuck him. He's such a piece of shit. This is what he looks like. And like, yeah, of course, you know, people on Patreon and shit are going to have an issue with that. Like, why is that a surprise? Honestly, this dumb skank did me a favor. Killstream TV is coming up ASAP, and this will make that transition easier. Regardless, I filed an appeal and linked her BS. We'll see. So his reply is like, you can't ban me for doxing her because she said that I like poo-poo and stuck a finger in my asshole. Okay, good luck with that. The whole thing about like Killstream TV, it's just going to be like a website, right? Like just hosting your own streams and making an app for iTunes. I don't see how that's a win. It's not going to force people over. Like my audience is pretty dedicated, but I still lose like a significant chunk of people when I try to do like Odysee or Trovo. Like, people just like what they're used to, you know what I mean? And YouTube has features that nothing else is going to have outside the box. In terms of like like I watch so much YouTube just on TV now. Like I use the YouTube app built into my fucking television to watch shit on the internet. when I'm in bed, and you can't really replace that with your own phone app or whatever, you know. So it's not a net win. Like even with my Patreon, I think I had like $1,000 a month when it got taken down, but that's still like $500 to $1,000 a month that's just gone. It's not replaced with anything. So, everything that happens to Ralph, he has to pass off as a win, because that's his white Bureau of Land Management mentality. He can't ever say like, oh, this sucks, maybe I made a mistake. But then he like threatens her, and he says like, needless to say, I will now 100% be doing some on-location shooting up north, I guarantee it. Patrons, I apologize for the interruption, but this will free us to do more and better stuff. It's stifling to use their platform to publish material. Be on the lookout for an email. So his response to this, he tried to fuck with this woman to get her fired because she said that he stuck a thumb up her ass. And he fires back by saying, okay, now I'm going to go to her fucking house and film myself at her fucking house so that people can give me zero benefit of a doubt if this mistake was actually happened. He's going to film himself at her home to get back at her. And I'm sure that's going to go over great with like everything that he wants to use, and his Killstream TV app being on Apple, the Apple Store and Google Play. Like, just stop and think. Just say that you made a mistake and that, why escalate it? She's like a 40-year-old woman who has nothing. She fucks the most retarded people on the planet as a profession. What possible outcome? Like, are like the Killstream viewers going to be like, oh, what a winner. He really dabbed on this woman that he fucked, that he had sex with. It's like, okay, you say that this woman that you were in a relationship with was in such a piece of shit and such a dumpy whore and so fucking ugly and so fucking old and so fucking stupid and everything she does is so fucking dumb. Like, dude, you're the one who co-signed a relationship with her. What does that say about you when that's what you get? Like, you're the one who entered into this co-partnership. You're the one that had sex with her. You're the one that gave her details when you say that she's untrustworthy and shit. It's like, all you're doing is saying that you make bad decisions. But I guess that was already known. Anyways, I don't want to spend too much on Ralph, who is shrinking into the abyss every week. Let's just finish off by watching some of the footage. I went through the thread that we have on the... from my understanding, the U.S. gave Palestine a fuck ton of money, and then suddenly Palestine has a fuck ton of missiles, and they discovered at some point recently that the way that the Iron Dome, which, if somehow you don't know this, Palestine lobs missiles at Israel all the time. Just petty, like shitty little strikes at Israel constantly. So Israel developed a missile interception system. A Hamas rocket, unguided, will cost about $500. A Iron Dome interception rocket costs about $50,000. But the U.S. funds both sides, so it's not really a loss of money for either of them. It's a loss of money for taxpayers in the United States. But the Iron Dome has been mostly effective at stopping Hamas rockets from damaging infrastructure and people within Israel. However, Hamas has determined that the rockets, they had been mostly firing rockets at a bunch of different targets over a wide range, but they've discovered that if they fire many rockets at a single target, the Iron Dome will run out of defensive missiles to intercept their rockets with. So they will land more rockets on target. And I think that in the strikes that they've been putting down on Tel Aviv, which is the largest city in Israel and a cultural hub of it, they've had a 50% success rate in getting those rockets to actually land, as opposed to when they were just shooting all over the place. So they had a big check come in, and they've put this tactic to use, and they're now firing rockets at specific places very heavily. And in response, since then, Israel has commenced a land invasion of the Gaza Strip after destroying some buildings. And that's the fuss. People are saying that Israel's killing civilian targets. People are saying that Palestine is a terrorist organization and that they're led by a dictator because apparently he keeps suspending elections. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter at all. What's cool is that we have some modern age war footage. Fucking missiles exploding, fireballs, the Iron Dome in function over populated areas. So we're gonna look at some of that. And be warned, some of this is pretty loud. I'm just gonna explain what it is. I hope I have this in semi-correct order. No, here. I think this was yesterday. Maybe yesterday or maybe today, but I'll just show it because it's cool. This is a building collapsing. Fuck. I'll replay that, sorry. It's I think that's a air to surface missile. And it just completely fucking collapses that building. Still standing though. Knock it down. Go for a spare. There it is. Damn. They sure are good at making tall buildings collapse. Here is an airstrike. This one is very loud. I think that is a airstrike that landed nearby to the recorder. This is artillery landing. And this one's kind of sad because there's little kids in the background and you can hear them like just saying Allahu Akbar because there's artillery outside and they're fucking terrified. It's just remarkable because you can see the explosions outside the window. This was the retaliation. Netanyahu said that because of the rocket strikes, they would retaliate, and this was them striking tall buildings because apparently they claim, the IDF claims that the Hamas is storing military personnel and equipment within residential towers. So they gave notice and said, we're going to basically collapse a bunch of fucking towers in Gaza Strip. If you are not a terrorist, do not be inside these towers because we're going to knock them down. And they stay true to that. Here's a rocket attack. This was from 1:45 Israel time in the morning. This is actually just the Iron Dome in action. It's like fireworks almost. That one hit a building. Here is the second one. I think it's... Oh no, I downloaded the same video twice. I'm a retard. This is Israeli airstrikes from 1:50 in the morning. Well, that's cool. That's like scenic. That's just nice and comfy. Got a nice campfire glow in the background. This is from 2:20. I think this is more Iron Dome footage. Oh no, this is the Hamas rockets firing from Gaza. So this is Palestinians' point of view. And that legit does just look like fireworks. It's really strange. You have like these smoke streamers and stuff, and because it's from the firing perspective, it's not too loud. This is more from that launch, I think, from It is mildly infuriating to me that they all do that. It's not even like a trope. Like, they legit do. They see rockets fire and they think, like, God is great. We are sending rockets to kill people. Oh, this is the Iron Dome in action. And this guy is Israeli and he speaks English. And he says, like, what the fuck throughout.
How fucking many? What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me?
I think that's the end of that. They're like the second wave. Oh yeah, there it is.
Fucking hell.
They have bomb shelters, but why would you want to miss the action? People got shit to do. They don't want to sit inside all day. A bomb shelter. This is at 3:50 in the morning, and this is IDF striking back at Gaza. All those pillars of black smoke and shit. It's crazy. Now this is from noon today, and these are ground troops in Gaza, I believe.
كما اشوف طلع ضربوه لبكوا فيه.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. I think what this is I think this is actually in the city of Lod, and this is civilian police trying to control the riots there. I think this is from last night at about midnight, because I know that certain cities in Israel still have like a large Arab Palestinian demographic, and they've been completely losing their shit and losing control of the city as the fighting in Gaza has kicked up. I think that's what's happening here. This is from today though. This is not in Gaza. These are Lebanese people. And this is footage of the Israel-Lebanese border. It is called the Blue Line. It is a UN-regulated border, and there's supposed to be like a permanent ceasefire there. But Israeli troops have been shooting into the Lebanese side of the border. And that's been caught on film. There's another video where they're shooting straight out through the fence on the other side. This is from when the IDF attacked. This is the power going out in Gaza, which is pretty cool. When it was dark. Someone mentioned that it was still Eid Barak or whatever, the day of celebration. So people were out celebrating the holy day when the IDF stuff happened. So in this one, there's a little kid jumping on the trampoline as the artillery strikes come down in the distance, because in America, as people pointed out, in America, we get a coof that only affects old people. All the kids have to stay home in terror and wear masks. In Gaza, the IDF is literally fucking bombing their house, and they're not going to stop celebrating Eid Mubarak, because fuck that shit. Fuck being a pansy. And this is footage from the protest in Lod. I'm very sure of that. They're just kicking some dude's ass. I like how right here you can see the guy with the press Kevlar vest on trying to take a picture, and the cop is like blocking his view with his body. I have one of, I can't show this on stream. It's really sad. I don't even know if it's from this incident. I would assume it's not, but it's like a Palestinian kid, and he gets up on a hill to look at the IDF, and he starts flossing, like literally Fortnite flossing, and they fucking shoot him, which is sad. And people share that as like, this is don't support Israel because they will shoot kids. Like the poor kids are like just there to floss and dab on the haters, and they shoot them. This is from 6:30 p.m. yesterday. These are, I think they're just regular good old-fashioned artillery strikes. Oh no, it's a fire. That's what it is. It's just a nice fire burning in the background. This is after the artillery strikes in Gaza. So the ambulances are rolling out. I think in Egypt they have started accepting people to the medical facilities in Cairo because they have too many injured to adequately deal with there. And this guy, by the way, this thread is complete shit, but this guy, who I think has like Donald Trump Jr. is his display picture, did a good job of actually archiving stuff. And this is the Iron Dome. As you can see, stupid rockets, cheap, $500 each. Expensive rockets on the left, warping around, heat-seeking shit, trying to intercept $50,000 each. Quite a discrepancy. And this is from the civil unrest in Lod. They have these bars on the window at a lot of houses there, and they found a pipe bomb stuck in one of the windows. So they're trying to kill each other. What else is new? Oh, okay. Tel Aviv. I like this. This is a nice meme. This nice young Jewish man, Blake Flayton, says, Tel Aviv, the queer, feminist, egalitarian capital of the Middle East. Yes, Hamas is firing rockets at it because it's filled with Jews, but also because it stands as a beacon for human freedom. Jihad will never win against these impenetrable values, even though their values are being penetrated. To which Muhammad replies, Jihad will win. And if I had a bet between the two of them, I would definitely go with Blake because he has the money for the military funding. Okay. I think that's it. That's all my cool little clips that I saved for the war. I wish everyone luck with their war. Hope it all turns out for the best. Easy Peasy sent me this picture and I really like it. This is a picture of a Hamas tunnel and they have delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken. So if for whatever reason you're in Gaza, I would definitely suggest finding the Hamas tunnel that has KFC to hide in, because that is definitely the place to be. That's the only place in Gaza I would want to be, is in the KFC tunnel. Okay. I have a song that completely, totally does not fit this stream at all. Actually, you know what? I'm afraid that I might have played this already. Let me just make sure. No, I've never. This song, you're going to think that I'm a pussy for playing this gay song, but I like it, and that's what matters. So, until next time, my friends, I will see you on Friday. Take it easy. Play the serious song? No, I'm going to get banned. I'm going to play a gay song instead. Okay. Bye-bye.